Oh boy, was it a hot mess. Yes, when I started my own Etsy shop back in 2008, I had no idea what I was doing. Like pretty much zero idea of what I was doing. And I made all the mistakes that you could possibly make. Today, I'm going to go through those mistakes to save you, my friend, from making them with your Etsy shop. Prepare yourself for some examples because I'm going to show you some of my very first listings from 2008. So I, like many of you, started my Etsy shop as a hobby simply to sell off stuff that I was making and had too much of, and it was taking over my desk, and I was like, what am I going to do with all this jewelry? I barely wear much jewelry at all, and I've been spending a lot of money on my supplies. Sound familiar? Yes. So that is how I started my Etsy shop, which started my business, which started this life, which has now led me to being self-employed since 2010. And it's pretty awesome. But it was a long learning curve from when I started to when I actually figured all this stuff out properly. So let me save you some trouble. And let's start off with number one, which was my branding. I had no idea about branding. I didn't even know it was a thing that I had to worry about. I wish so much that I could find the original banner I made for my shop. I vaguely remember what it looked like and it was horrific, but I looked everywhere and I could not find it. So I'm sorry I cannot show you the hot mess that was my original banner for my shop, but it was, let's just say, I have no graphic design experience. Thank God for Canva, because without that, I would still, everything I make graphic design wise would probably still look horrible. Not that it's perfect or anything, but it looks a bit better than it used to. So I had no idea what it's doing. I didn't understand the link between my banner and my photo and my logo and my photos and my language and my marketing, and how all of that should really be telling the same story, because that's what branding is. It's telling the story of your business. It's making a promise to your customers about what your business stands for and what it's all about. That is branding. Usually when you think branding, the first thing that might come to mind is the obvious stuff like colors and logos and so on. And yes, all of that's important, but fundamentally, branding is a promise you make to your customers. It's a story you're telling your customers. And I was telling a messy story because I didn't know that I was even telling a story. Now, somehow I still managed to get sales at this point, but we'll get to that. All right, so that was the first thing. It was because I didn't know what my business was about. It took me a couple of years of experimenting and trying new things and making different products until I actually worked out what my brand was and what my business was all about. I think it took me 4, possibly 5 years to get to that point. And when I finally kind of landed on it, ever since then, everything's been super clear and my brand has been super clear, and well, at least to me, hopefully to everyone else as well. And it's made life a lot easier. So if you're still in that beginning developmental phase, don't freak out that your brand is not super clear. It's probably because you're still figuring it all out, and that's okay. And just go through that process from the beginning as you go, and you'll get there in the end. But just be aware that it's something you have to think about and something that you have to work on. So the second thing was my photos, which were awful. I did all the wrong things. I used my flash. I had a messy, wrinkled background or a busy background. I didn't focus properly, all of the things that you could possibly do wrong. I did those things wrong. I'll show you some examples on the screen of some of my initial photography. I would literally take a selfie holding the camera out like this to get a picture of the jewelry, which I guess can work sometimes, but it's not ideal. So my photos were pretty bad, and it took me a long time to learn all of the things you need to learn about what makes a good photo. I've got a video on that. I've got multiple videos on that, but I'll link to one of them up here if you want more info on that and a bit more guidance on that. And this is super important. I cannot stress enough how important photos are. My microphone is here. This is why I'm leaning down. I cannot stress enough how important photos are. They are make or break. They will make or break your business. Okay, so make sure to do the work to get your photos right. Even before you bother marketing, before you worry about SEO, before you worry about all that sort of stuff, before you worry about driving traffic, work on your photos and make sure they're up to scratch, because that is what will make people click or not click and buy or not buy. So they have to be good. The third thing was my titles. So I had no idea how Etsy search worked at this point, and it was very different to how it is now. I just was like, well, this is what the product is. I'm going to make that the title. Isn't that what you do? And then I write a very short description, which I'll get to in a minute. But my titles were super short, super undescriptive, and pretty much useless for Etsy algorithm. But again, somehow I made some sales because there was like 1,000 of us on the platform at that stage. I don't know, it was very small. So basically, you need titles that describe the product. Okay, that's what I want you to think about when it comes to your titles, especially the first few words, because that is what people see in search. Describe the product in your title. That's what it's for. Okay, tell us what it is, who it's for, what's the color, what's the design, blah, blah, blah. Think about the old question, what will someone type in the search bar to find this thing? Put that in your title. It's really as simple as that at the end of the day. And you can do all the research and SEO stuff you want, which you probably should, but at the end of the day, just ask yourself that question. And I've got a free download actually for you that will take you through a whole bunch of questions that will pull all this information out of your head and get it written down. So I'll put a link to that at the top of the description. If you want to go grab that free download, it will help you so much with every single thing you make so that you can actually figure this stuff out and get it done right the first time. So make sure your titles describe things. And this goes for tags as well. I had no idea what I was doing with my tags. A lot of people make a lot of mistakes with them, like repeating words. You don't need to do that. You're wasting space. Stop doing that. Stop doing that, please. Stop repeating words in your titles and tags. It's unnecessary. Use as much space as possible to put as many keywords in as possible so that people will be more likely to find you. Yes, ideally you will have a long tail keyword all together, written together, but if you can't fit that in, put the words from the long tail keywords somewhere else in your tags, and Etsy's algorithm is smart enough to put those together for you. Again, make sure you're describing the product, who it's for, what it is in your tags, because it's all about what people search for at the end of the day. Okay, so related to this is description. If you look at this description, this example that I'm showing you now, yeah. Again, no idea. You need details. That's the whole point of a description, is to describe the thing. You want to describe it. You want to give measurements. You want to give all the details. Basically, okay, let's do it this way. You want to answer any potential objection a customer would have against buying your product in your description. That's really what it's for. Any question they might possibly have about it, any objection that might be raised in their mind about buying it, that is what you need to answer in your description. And if you're not sure about that, ask a friend, ask a colleague, say, what questions would you have if you saw these photos of this product? What would come to mind? What do you need to know in order to click the buy button? And make sure you say that stuff in your description. That's what it's for. Now, I just want to pause here briefly because I might be going through all these things and giving you all this advice and you're like, this is a lot you're throwing at me right now. I'm probably going to remember two things. If you want to set up a shop on Etsy and you want to do it properly and you want to get it right, I recommend you come and join me for Set Up Shop, my 30-day course. It's a 30-day intensive live course where I take you through a system to set up your own stellar online shop for your handmade goods. Over 1,400 people have used this system, this Set Up Shop system, to set up their shops online. And if you would like to come and join me, the next course is running very, very soon as I record this. The 24th of April, 2023, it starts. Now, if you're watching this later, I run the course twice a year and it's live every time. So if you think this sounds good, I would like to check this out, there's a description in the link below so you can check it out. And you can also sign up to my mailing list. If you get that freebie I mentioned earlier, you'll be on my mailing list and I'll notify you. And of course, make sure to subscribe to my channel because then I will notify you also that the course is running. So if you'd like to join me for that, I would love to see you in the course and help you step by step. And you keep the course content for life. Yes, you will have the course content forever so you can go back and go over it. And you also have lifetime access to the course itself. So every time I run the course, you can come and take it. If you like, if it's not a perfect time now, or you get halfway through and life happens, you can come back and take it again in future. So I hope to see you in there if you need some help setting up your Etsy shop. Okay, let's get back to our list of things I did wrong. Where was I up to? Oh yeah, pricing. Pricing. Oh, I must have lost so much money in those early days because I just had no idea what I was doing with pricing. I didn't know there were pricing formulas. I didn't understand the difference between wholesale pricing and retail pricing. I didn't understand, that I had to cover my packaging costs as well as my shipping costs. So my prices were all over the shop. And of course, I made the cardinal error that we all make, which is undercharging for shipping. And then you end up having to pay out of pocket and it cuts into your profit and blah, blah, blah. So don't do that. Don't be that person. I have a video on pricing and another one on shipping. They're all on my channel. Just search for them. But basically, these are things you need to get right. Otherwise, you are not going to be making money, and the point of a business is to make money. So you need to be getting your pricing right so that you're getting a profit from what you are doing. So these are basically the last two, is pricing and shipping. So pricing, okay, so there is a difference between wholesale pricing and retail pricing. You need to be selling at retail price because that means you are paying yourself for all the extra work you do to market your product. You don't just want to cover your materials cost and your time and a little bit of profit. You also need to cover the cost of selling, taking photos, setting up online. If you are selling your product to a shop, they do the selling for you. But if you're not, if you're selling it directly, you need to pay yourself for the selling. And that's why you need to be selling things at retail price. So make sure you're not underpricing, because you will not have a sustainable business if you're underpricing. It just won't work. I know it's hard. I know it's hard to compete. We're competing with so many people who are undercharging. We're competing with non-handmade stuff on the platform that shouldn't be there. We're competing with the whole internet full of stuff from countries where they can charge a pittance to make it. We're competing with Walmart and Target and all of those different places that can afford to charge less because they are big conglomerates and buy things in bulk. But we're not that. We're small independent makers. And if we don't charge enough, we can't continue to be those small independent makers because it's just not feasible. So you need to charge enough. If you're selling something people want, people will pay for it. Okay, again, so finally the shipping, I briefly talked about that, but make sure, whether you're doing free shipping or not, you need to cover the cost of shipping. Okay, make sure to do the homework to figure this out. Now, if you're in the US, you might want to use Etsy calculated shipping because you guys have a really complicated domestic shipping situation. Like your domestic shipping changes depending on distance and stuff. I don't envy you having to deal with that. It's not fun. But if you use calculated shipping, they just calculate it for you and you don't have to worry about it. But if you're doing the free shipping thing where it's rolled into your cost of your product, that's when things get a bit harder and you have to do the sums and go, well, okay, maybe I'll kind of charge a mid-level shipping cost so that I'll lose out sometimes, but I'll win other times and it should all balance out at the end of the day. That might be the best you can do in that scenario. But make sure you know the costs and you know what you have to charge in order to break even with that. That is not everything I did wrong. There are so many other little things that you can make mistakes with that if you don't even realize are things that exist until you get in there and start doing it. Again, I cover a lot of stuff in Set Up Shop, so that the idea of that course is to stop you from having to go through the learning process I did over 5 years and instead learn it in like 30 days. So that is the point behind why I started that course, why I still run that course, why people find it so helpful. It just cuts down the learning time so much. And I try to keep it reasonably affordable for people as well. So if you do want to join me for that, Set Up Shop, createandthrive.com/setupshop. Come and check it out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, give it a thumbs up. If there's anything else I've missed, what other mistakes? What mistakes have you made with your Etsy shop? Let's just get it all out there. Let's share our mistakes so we can all learn from them. Let us know in the comments below, and hopefully it wasn't something too bad that cost you money or time or drama or tears. And but I would love to commiserate with you in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you want more, I mentioned so many other videos in this one, but I'm going to leave you with the pricing video because this is so important. This is my video where I actually break down how to work out your pricing properly so you are not losing money and you are making a profit. So check that one out. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you again in the next video. Bye for now.